insight into why and how Floor Coverings International validates so damn well. And one of the takes on why we validate so damn well is hearing it from our franchise owners. But we didn't just invite any of our franchise owners on the call. We didn't invite our largest franchise owner. We didn't invite our smallest franchise owner. We invited franchise owners that had a very specific set of experiences that led them to Floor Coverings International. We invited franchise owners, and we've got actually more than the two folks that are on the call. But the two folks that are on the call were able to make the call. But we've got a handful of franchise owners that became franchisees here, bought our brand, worked with consultants to become franchise owners that came from franchising. So they had industry experience, like we all have here on the screen. They knew what franchising was, and they, out of the brands that they were shown from a franchise consultant, chose Floor Coverings International. So who better to validate how good of a franchise brand that we are than folks that come to the table with industry experience? So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a bit of a Q&A panel discussion with our folks that are franchisees and have industry experience. Allow you all to ask some questions towards the tail end, because I've got some tailor-made questions to start us off. Towards the tail end of the entire time, the 40 minutes or so that we've got you held hostage here on a Zoom room with Floor Coverings International. Yeah, that was a joke, not literally, but kind of. If you leave, we'll dock points off of your tally sheet. But anyway, towards the end of your time, we're going to just go through some basics on pitching the brand. We've got a contest because we want to give away some gift cards. Just stick around. Of course, we're going to say that for the end. So with that, I'd like to introduce our panelists. So first and foremost, we've got Jenny Hong, who's our franchisee in Northeast Atlanta. So Jenny, thank you for giving the wave. And then secondly, we've got Brad Brown, who's our franchisee in Las Vegas. And Brad is looks like he's also chowing down on some lunch. I guess it's lunchtime over there in Vegas, right, Brad? Is it lunchtime? Yeah. What you got? Anything good? You're not eating any chicken, are you?
No, it's just a little bit of fried rice. It's noon here. Well, it's 1 o'clock here, so it is lunchtime. We just finished a team meeting, so
Awesome. Well, Brad, you got yourself on mute, so I'll start with you, and then Jenny, I'm going to ask you the same question as we get you both introduced. Tell us a little bit about your background in franchising. So I set you both up as industry experts and people that have been in franchising for a long time. Tell us about your franchising tenure, Brad, you first, and then what led you to a path of saying, you know what, no more franchisor for me. I want to become a franchisee.
So my history, my background is franchising in restaurants. Actually, I was part of the KFC, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, A&W brands for about 20 years. So a long time working with the management group and we were actually a franchisee group of those brands. I mean, for multiple years. And gosh, I mean, it's being part of a franchise, being part of that franchisee group. We had over 300 restaurants within the franchise and our management group, and it really gave me an eye-opening of what franchising is. So I have a different perspective on being a franchisee, the sole owner, instead of a franchisee in a large group. What else you say, Albert? You say you want me to go into a little bit of why I moved yet, or what do you want me to, where do you want me to go?
So now that we know your background, just share a little bit about what was the genesis of you starting to say, okay, I now want to own my own business and become the franchisee.
Yeah, so as time years went on with it was the Harmon's franchise, and if any of you know much about restaurants or KFCs, Harmon's is one of the largest franchisees of the KFC network, and I was with them, like I said, 20 years, but as a minority owner and a operation side of things, where I still had a boss. I still had somebody that was telling me what I had to do, still told me the steps I had to take, where eventually it came down to making money for the the majority partner. And yeah, when I made money, I still great met Pete Harmon, a great person, great man who started KFC. Actually, people thought it was Colonel that started KFC, but Pete Harmon is the real starter and founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken using Pete Harmon's recipe. But yes, uh, but it came down to it um, that I wanted to run my business the way I wanted to run it. I wanted to be able to treat my employees and my customers and my vendors the way that I felt was right and the way that I want to do things, instead of just being the voice or the mouthpiece for the president and the majority owners of the franchise system. So it ultimately came down to me deciding, hey, um, it's time for a change. And actually, I found Floor Coverings International through a franchise recruiter or broker or whatever the title is that presented options to me, and I started off the exploratory process that way.
Awesome. Thanks, Brad. And we're going to talk about why and what you saw in a second. But Jenny, same to you. Just what's your experience in franchising, and then why did you say, hey, you know what, I'm ready to be a franchisee?
Okay. First of all, hello, everybody. I own the territory that's northeast of Atlanta. My background was 20 years in corporate marketing in the franchise world, specifically in the fast food / fast casual space. And what's interesting is when I was at Church's Chicken for about 15 years, 5 years in, I had a
A lot
meeting
of chicken on this call.
yeah, a lot
Chicken.
of chicken. Yeah. 5 years in, I remember I was having a meeting with the CEO at the time, and he was telling me he just visited a market, and that guy used to be an employee of the corporate office, but now he's a franchise owner. He owns like 4 locations. And he sat me down. He says, that guy makes more money than I do. And I was like, oh yeah. He goes, you know what, Jenny, you should find a partner that you completely trust, a family member, and you should buy a location. And guess what? Maybe you net profit one location. Let's say you can make 100,000. Well, guess what? What happens when you have 6 to 7 to 8 to 9 stores? Multiply that. And I was like, oh. And then all of a sudden, ding, ding. I was like, wow, okay, so how am I gonna eventually do that, right? So that was always seated in my head early on in corporate world. Well, honestly, I didn't want to sell fried chicken, so that wasn't the right product for me to sell. So fast forward, I moved on, and what allowed me to become an entrepreneur and buy a franchise wasn't by choice. So it was during COVID. My job at the time was I was a senior director of menu strategy and innovation. And during COVID, there is no menu innovation and strategy. It's about survival. So a lot of the initiatives were focused on online ordering, all the digital platforms. So my job was impacted, but I was actually really excited. It was like the weirdest thing. Like you don't have a job anymore. You're in the middle of COVID. People should be freaking out, but I don't know what it was. I was so excited because I knew that I always wanted to open up my own business. And so that's when a franchise business consultant reached out to me on LinkedIn. And I think I told the story before, but 20 years in corporate world, nobody has reached out to me ever. No franchise consultant has ever reached out to me. I didn't even know they existed until they reached out to me. Totally resonated with me because the first thing they said was, have you ever thought about opening up your own business? And of course, I said yes. And then that was the end of the story. That's how I ended up here. And I know we're going to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so Jenny, I'll stick with you then, and then Brad, same questions coming to you. So you come to the table with industry knowledge, industry experience. As you began the search, what were some of the things that were important to you as you were evaluating franchise brands?
Great question. Well, first, because my background was food, I wanted to go down the food path, right? And there's some personalities that can probably do that, but when I realized food was not the journey I wanted to take, what was important to me was being able to schedule my own time, right? Flexibility. I wanted, to look into a franchise concept that had a great reputation, that provided, franchise support, because I knew nothing about opening up a business. So those were some things that were really important to me. But At the end of the day, what really, really was important to me as I started looking at all these different concepts was nothing excited me. Like nothing excited me. Like I couldn't see myself doing foam insulation. Oh my God. As I looked into it, the numbers look great, but I was like, oh my God, that is not exciting. I didn't want to deal with mold or water mitigation. That didn't sound exciting to me. So that was very important to me. Like I have to, if I'm going to sell something, I have to love it and I have to be excited about it.
Awesome. Brad, same to you. What were you looking for?
So, just like Jenny being in food, um, that was what I knew, right? And I did start off looking at other restaurant opportunities, and I very quickly came to the realization that I didn't want to do food either. I was out. I was sick of the 16 to 18-year-old employees that only work because their dad made them get it. I was sick of having to compete with with the Friday night dance to make sure the store was staffed. I was sick of the customer that just because they're hungry and they have to wait an extra 5 minutes for the food to come out of the fryer, that we're getting ripped apart. There's a lot of things that was going into it. So the, the job size or the customer size was 3,000 customers a week for $10 average ticket. Where as I started my search on what I wanted to see, um, the person that was helping me decipher the franchises or things I could purchase, the things I was looking for was a larger ticket item. How many customers could I help and still reach $1 million, right? I was looking for, the overall change of what I'm bringing to somebody's, as a customer, bringing to them in their experience. Where, I mean, I researched some other opportunities that were, things from a membership based chiropractic place or stretching place, but they, like Jenny said, it didn't excite me. The things that I really liked, I liked to personally do DIY projects and work with my hands, and I installed my own floors. And gosh, if I knew now what I knew, that if I knew now the knowledge I have now that I did then when I installed the floors, I did everything wrong, and now I have experience on why, why DIY is not the best option and how we can counteract that. So anyways, the whole process on how to get where I did, um, you know, Floor Coverings International was ultimately, of the, 8 to 10 options that were set in front of me, that interested me the most. I could go in and see a project and the before and the after and the change and the customer and what we were able to provide to that customer. So floor coverings drew me in to start just because of that. Then getting in further with some of the knowledge and the questions and the setup and how it's different from other flooring companies and the support that they're able to help, and from leads to to sales tactics to mobile showrooms to different things is really what kind of drew me in. And I'm not sure, Albert, if you even asked what was kind of the nail that kind of drove everything home. Was really, I visited Atlanta back in the day when Discovery Day was actually in person at the headquarters there. And really what brought me in was what I loved about Harmons to start was the culture. I really enjoyed the people that were in the corporate office and that staff that would be a support help for me. The culture was there. I could see that's what I enjoyed from my previous employer, and really what my previous employer was losing, and as one of the reasons I was leaving. So, so there's a long line or a long succession of things that happened, but ultimately decided with Floor Coverings International about 5 years ago or so.
Got it. So I was going to go to that now, mixed in with that, Brad, and then again, Jenny, this is coming to you. So that was your ultimate deciding factor, was the culture, the people. As you were evaluating the brand, and again, you've got this perspective of understanding franchising from other places. What positively surprised you about this organization as compared to your past experiences in franchising?
Bottle of water or something?
You good, Brad? Looks like you got people over there, huh? You running a business.
I'm running a business. I have one of my reps just walk in here. Ask me the question again so I can think. I can hear
So
you.
again, you've got perspective of other franchises. You've been in a franchise. You've been a franchisor. You've been a franchisee, essentially. What pleasantly surprised you is you were learning about Floor Coverings International, about FCI as a brand specifically, as compared to your past experiences with other franchise organizations.
What set Floor Coverings apart? Is that what that question is?
Essentially, yes.
You know, I think the thing that set Floor Coverings apart were, so the thing about franchising, and I talked to a lot of people that are researching the franchise, and they want to call and ask me some questions. And something that a lot of people that are not in franchising don't realize is that this business is still my business, right? The Being the owner of my company name is actually called Floor Covering, or sorry, it's called CMM Ventures. It's not called Floor Covering International. That's just my DBA. That's just what the sign on the building says. But my business name is CMM Ventures. And the point, the point of that is, when I think about my own business and what I want to do in business, whether it's treat my employees or customers or whatever, all the way across the board, the difference between Floor Coverings and some other brands is that I feel like I have a lot of leeway to make my own decisions on a lot of things. Yes, now Floor Coverings International does have their brand standards, and there's things that have to happen just the same as any other franchisor would have. But I'm able to choose a product and put that product in my van to sell to my customers without asking permission. I don't have to call corporate and say, hey, I want to sell this product from Mannington or from another company, because they give me the leeway to do what I feel is right for my business so I can be successful. And I did see that from the start. I know that, yes, we have to have a mobile showroom. We have to have a nice looking wrap and some other things that we have to do. But really it comes down to, they let me, as the business owner, run my own business the way that I should, or that I want to. And really, the franchisor knows if it's a failure, then ultimately it's on myself and not on them. I mean, so there's both sides of it. So that's kind of what I was thinking, Albert, when you asked me that question.
Awesome, right? And you come from a system, right, KFC, where there's essentially no leeway, right? You've
not anything. Yeah, KFC was, I had to shake a basket of chicken out of the flour 7 times before I could put it on the rack to cook in the fryer. And it was counted, and we were inspected, and it was down to the exact recipe to do a certain thing. And yeah, when you run other franchises, it is completely, you do it my way or no way. You lose, right? And I feel where I am now, I get the benefit of having the name and the brand and the recognition on one end, but also the benefit of running the business the way I feel is right on the other end.
Love it. Thanks, Brad. Jenny, same to you. So ultimately, what was the final deciding factor to you? And then again, based upon your experience in franchising, what were some things that you saw in Floor Coverings International that was pleasantly surprising?
I have to agree with Brad on the culture piece, because I was very pleasantly surprised about FCI's culture, the corporate culture, and really felt good as I interacted with, the corporate staff. But one thing I do want to say is that's very different from where I was in the past in the franchise world is Floor Coverings International is really good about providing peer-to-peer opportunities and learning best practices for one another. You don't see that a lot in the food industry. I mean, at least mine, I don't see that a lot, I guess, because everything is by the book, like recipes, you can't modify those, right? But that's one thing that actually surprised me about Floor Covers International, because we can actually be, even though we're part of a franchise system, we bought into a brand standards, we're still allowed to innovate on a local level. So if one of us has a way to at least generate more leads or whatever the case is, and we do something and it's positive, then Floor Covers International is really great about putting that person on a platform to share that with others so that they can learn from them. So that actually surprised me a lot. I think it's very clever. It's smart because it's not a one size fits all approach. So I wanted to share that, but ultimately why I decided with Floor Covers International is this. My background is marketing. I'm about differentiation and value propositions. And so when I look at it from a consumer standpoint of what I'm trying to sell, right? And besides selling flooring, the value proposition here is a turnkey, convenient way to shop for flooring. It's the in-home shopping experience that is unparalleled in this industry versus any other flooring company out there. Like, we are a true mobile showroom, okay? That's a huge differentiator. We're about convenience. Everybody is busy every single day. Time is money, okay? So by providing a convenient way to shop flooring in a turnkey way is pretty awesome. And that is something I can talk to customers about. I can sell that to customers. I can sell convenience. So ultimately, besides all the great things about Floor Covers International, they have a great, training program. It's amazing. I think I've spoke to this before. Brad Brown had experience in doing DIYs. I am the complete opposite. I don't think I've ever used a hammer and a nail before in my life. And the fact that I know flooring and I'm an expert is just surprises me each and every day. And I have to give kudos to the Floor Covers International, training staff, because they allowed me to learn flooring in a way where I feel like an expert. So
Jenny, I have a question for you, and this is completely off. It's on topic, but off topic. The consultants that are here on the call, I recognize a lot of their names and faces, meaning they work with our brand. They send potential franchise owners to our brand. And whenever they're explaining our brand to a prospective candidate, this comes up so often. Well, flooring's not so sexy. And I've heard you before go hard at that and go, what? No way, flooring is sexy. Why is flooring a sexy business to be in?
well, it's like this. Well, flooring is sexy to me because I think of flooring as the foundation of a home, right? When you go inside a house, that's probably the most important thing, is your foundation and your flooring. Your flooring and your paint is probably the most important thing when you're remodeling your home. Well, the flooring can make or break the renovation project. I've been to homes many times these days where people have outdated orange hardwood floors. That's outdated, okay? And they don't want to spend the money changing that color, but they'll do everything else. They'll change the wall, the countertops, and they want to keep that orange floor. And I'm like, no, you can't. You're not going to transform your house. And I finally convinced them, and they're like, holy cow. And all of a sudden you get this gorgeous home. That's what's sexy about flooring. You can update floors. You can make the home look out beautiful. You don't have to spend a lot of money to make your home look beautiful. But if you have raggedy ass floors, and it doesn't matter what you do, your house is going to look terrible. So I find flooring super sexy, and that's what makes a home.
Love it.
What's funny is that Jenny goes to the design side of why floors are sexy, and I go to the dollar bill sign, because every single floor, every single house, apartment, building has a floor, and they all have to be redone eventually. And it's the top one or two expense of change within a remodel, and because there's dollars there, and everybody's got to do it eventually. So.
Well, guys, we've got consultants that have some questions, and I've got two more questions. So I'll ask you to answer this in short. That way we've got a little bit of time for the questions that are popping in the chat box. Two questions, smush them together. What's your long-term vision for your business? And these folks talk to prospective franchise owners every day. You both want really good peers as operators across the country and as neighbors. So what types of people should they introduce to my team and the people that are working with the candidates? So what type of person makes a great operator is the question number two, really. And question number one is, for you specifically in your business, what's your long-term vision? And Brad, why don't you go first?
Sure. I've said, and be a little biased, and I've always said, if you have somebody that's been in the food industry, then this is easy for them. I'm not sure if Jenny agrees with me, but it's true. If you've been in food, restaurants are hard, and so this is simple. But no, going back to the core of the question of what potential people are the best candidates. I look at people coming in, franchisees, new franchisees coming in, every one of them, because we're a brand and we're a franchise, they affect my business. The value of my business in Las Vegas is affected positively or negatively depending on that owner across the country. And the reason is because we have the same name on the building. Now, I think that the high caliber and smart people, when they look at the opportunity, they're able to see the potential that we have, the potential that Floor Cover International has, and they're able to see what there is to offer. Now, Albert asked, what kind of long-term goals do we have? When I opened this business 5 years ago, the average Floor Covers International was maybe 1.1 million, maybe a little less than that. Actually, maybe the average was 800,000. I don't even remember what the number was, but it was not a very high yearly number. And I came in and I said, if I'm doing this, I'm going to start a business. That's not enough money for me. $1 million is not even as much money as one of my KFCs make. And so if I have a flooring store with the average job size of 10 grand and I'm only making $1 million, it's not enough. It's not there. And so I've had high goals and high expectations for myself and my company since we started. Currently, I have a 3-year goal in 24, 25, 26. So the year 2027, I want my business to do $7 million that year. And I want us to continue to grow because within 5 years, I want to be a $10 million business. And so I know that there's a lot of effort and push that comes into it, but I also see the potential of what we can grow into, because even in a down economy year, we have Floor Covers International has about 1% market share. And if I'm doing $1 million, $2 million with 1%, 2% in Las Vegas, I could grow a couple more percent market share and reach those goals without an issue. So down markets doesn't mean that people aren't buying. They just mean they're being selected who they're buying from. And I need to be that person of choice. So when I look at goals and where we can be, the potential is huge.
Love it. Jenny, same for you. Your long-term vision, and who should these folks send to us?
My long-term vision is really to operate my business on a beach, with a GM, so I can enjoy my life, but I still want to be involved. So being serious, we're all working our tails off. Brad's a little bit further up, so he has a bigger team. I only have a team of 4, and there's just not enough time in the day to do what you got to do. And I love working, but I don't want to continue to work like this every day, craziness. So in 5 years, I want to make sure that I have a good GM that can operate my business and be still profitable, right? So that's kind of my vision. And I think the kind of candidates that I believe would be very successful in Floor Covers International is somebody who is a visionary, but also can roll up their sleeves and do the day-to-day, because there is a lot of day-to-day stuff going on. And if the candidate is someone who's used to just delegating work in corporate world and not used to really rolling up the sleeves, probably won't be a good candidate. Another candidate that probably won't work, knowing that we're trying to 10x our business and really grow, is somebody who doesn't want to grow, okay? Who wants to be in the van forever and ever. That's probably not going to be a good candidate here, because they're going to be pressed to grow. And someone, that can be a risk taker and not too much of a risk averse, because if you're becoming too risk averse, you're going to be paralyzed and you can't make decisions, and you're going to have to make decisions fast, and you're going to have to just roll. So my general rule is the 80-20 rule. It doesn't have to be perfect, and I'm going to fix the plane while it's flying, because we need to go. you know. So I would say somebody who can react fast, who can take some risk, who can and lastly, you need to know how to hustle, man. I mean, sometimes it's really competitive. You got to go out there and street fight, you know. So you gotta hustle. So
Love it. Love it. Yeah. I mean, hustling is easy when you're used to people complaining about your fried chicken, I guess. Yeah. But anyhow, so Brad and Jenny, first and foremost, want to thank you for your time. There's some questions popping in the chat box. It looks like we can handle most of them, but there was one question that was specifically addressed to you. And again, we're running out of time. So if you want to just be super quick with this, when you were investigating the franchise opportunity, how did validation with the existing owners contribute to your decision process? And Jenny, you've got yourself off mute, and we'll go to Brad.
okay, I'm not on mute. Real quickly, yeah, that helped a lot. And I didn't only talk to people who were very positive with the brand. I had a mixture, and it did help me to make my decision, but it didn't. I didn't let the negative people of make me think differently. I had to do my own research, but that was very helpful talking to other folks in the business.
Awesome, Brad.
I agree. It was very helpful. I remember specifically talking to a couple owners that I still have relationships with now today, and I don't think that those owners even realized that they were one of the validation calls that I called back then. It was insightful, but I was also a little bit on the edge, thinking, yeah, they're probably only going to send me names of people that are positive or happy with their decision. And so as I take validation calls, I actually talk to people both sides of the coin, and I let them know that corporate doesn't tell me a single thing to say. But other than that, I say I here's my positive experiences. I'm not I'm not the rule. Not everybody has success, because success, you make your own luck, is kind of my own thought. It's not lucky that I'm here, but it's not a shoo-in that you're going to get there either. And I show both sides of it. I let them know that you can be very happy and very successful, but there's people also that it's a risk. When you buy a business, any business is hard. If it were easy, anybody would do it. And I let them know also at the end of the day that if you're going to buy a business, don't let it be a job. Why would you go buy a $200,000 job if you're going to treat it like a job and be the person that does all the work? Make sure you're going to have a business, buy a business, and be a business owner that puts people in place so you can lay on the beach and have a GM run for you. Right, Jenny?
That's right.
Love it. Well, Jenny and Brad, thank you very much for your time. Ralph, we'll get to that question in the chat box. So I want to thank you both, and I'll give you a little golf clap round of applause, because we can't do what we do without you in growing this organization. Not only did they volunteer their time out of their business to talk to you all about sending us more referrals, they also take their time out of their business to talk to your candidates as well as they're validating. So Brad and Jenny, thank you. And for consultants, don't go anywhere. Amy, I'm going to pass the ball over to you, because we've got contests and things that we want to leave them with before they log off. So Amy, ball's yours.
Got it. Thank you, Albert. All right. So real quickly, we've been talking about, we want your referrals, right? That's what we're all here for, and we want to talk to your candidates. So let me quick share my screen here. Where'd it go? There it is. Oh, how did you get over there? Okay, I've lost you. Where is my screen share? Okay, I've never used Zoom before, so just bear with me a second while I.
This is our technological prowess and demonstration right here.
3 screens going. I'm like, which screen is it on? There we go. Oh, shoot. Okay, there we go. How about that? So quickly, how to present FCI. Many of you are presenting us currently. So I always say, and we talked about it, we think flooring is sexy, but when you say, let me tell you about Floor Coverings International, they're going to think they're on their hands and knees and they're installing floors. So that is not what we do. So start with, we're the #1 rated company in the industry, in our industry. We're part of a blue chip company. We know franchising. We've been around. We're going to be around for a long time. we're mobile. There's no brick and mortar and you don't have store hours. We're scalable with few employees. As I put in the chat, our $2 million business is 4 people. It's yourself, 2 salespeople, and an office manager. And as you heard, both of them talking about hiring general managers, and every business can run the way you want to run it, which is great. And then, as Brad said, they were using all of my thunder here. Our average job size is $7,200. So, we always laugh and say our sister company is CertaPro Painters. That's basically 3 jobs for them. So it's only 1 for us. So highlights right there. I'd love to spend 15 minutes with you to tell you about our brand. And to do that, we have our contest. Now I'm on, there we go. We have our summer cooler contest. Many of you are already entered because we've had this going on for a while. So every referral, the first one gets you 1 entry, second referral gets you 2 entries, and the third referral gets you 3. And bonus point if you schedule 15 minutes with me. And we are going to draw those on July 1st. So it's coming up. So it'll be ready for right in time for July 4th. I'll get them shipped Amazon overnight to you. So you'll have them for your 4th of July parties. So there's a QR code right here, and then I'm gonna pop my Calendly into the chat. So that is me. I want to get you guys out of here. So I'm popping it into the chat. So schedule 15 minutes with me. I'd love to share how to present our brand, who we're looking for. You just met 2 of our fabulous franchisees. We want more of them. And first of all, thank you for bringing so many to us already. And, we're looking to work with you more and continue the great relationship that we have with all of you.
So Amy, are you saying they should book an appointment with you right now to earn a prize?
Oh, absolutely. Book an appointment with me right now and I'll send you, I love to give away Amazon gift cards. You'll get a $50 Amazon gift card. And if you just want to hang out and talk to me for 15 minutes, I enjoy that as much.
Amy, this is Ray. Check your link.
Yeah, the link doesn't work, Amy.
The link doesn't work. Do I get a point
404.
for saying that?
That's weird.
So hold on a
Trick.
second. Here it comes. Here is the here we go.
I'm just having all kinds of technology issues today.
There we go. Click that link right now. Go for it. Hurry up.
Thank you, Albert.
Minutes. We're giving away a ton of Yetis, folks. We'll give away some gift cards, but ultimately we want to give you our referral fee. That's much better to give you about 50 grand. So anyhow, thank you for your time. Play our contest with us. Send us some candidates, and let's continue to grow this network together. We have 800 open territories. There's plenty of real estate left. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Great to see everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.